So what the heck is an overhead map, and how does it apply to making movies? Well, I'll tell you exactly that in this video right here. If you're new here, why not subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you can be alerted every time a new video is posted. Oh, and welcome. The worst is if you're in a scene and you're totally lost. You don't know where things need to be or where people are going to go. That is where an overhead map can come in very handy. Just like the word overhead map, it's a map from overhead. Pretty straightforward, huh? The purpose of an overhead map is to give you a quick overview of the scene, set, blocking, camera placement, all of that kind of stuff. Just like in real life when you're lost, finding your bearings is a quick way to become unlost and find your way. The first thing I do with my overhead map is I draw out the scene. Where is the walls of the room that they're in, or the general landscape of the location? Then I fill the location in with set pieces or props, such as a desk, a rock, a window, a door. Next, you'll place in your actors. Now, you should have a good idea of your blocking if you've done your scene breakdowns. If you need to know more about scene breakdowns, you can check out the video in the link in the description or in the card up above. With your actors in place, you can draw arrows to their locations that they might be within the scene. If they're standing on one side of a room and they need to get to the other, draw the character in both positions with an arrow to connect them. And then you can number each character's positions on when it takes place in the scene. So position 1, position 2, position 3, put those corresponding numbers to each one of the locations in the scene. After you get your actors in their rough general places, then you probably need to put in your camera. For my actors, I usually draw a circle with the first letter of their character name or something like that so I can identify what character is what. For the camera, it's usually a rectangle or square with a triangle attached to it. Something real simple. The triangle, the large end of the triangle, is your camera lens. Once you have that, you can do the same thing if there's camera movements, as drawing arrows for where the camera might move. Put a new camera for each location you feel the camera will be set up to cover the scene. If you feel that you might get more than one angle or more than one lens length from one location, indicate that based off of your shot list. But if you aren't moving the camera, then you can just put 2 numbers next to that. Each camera setup should be numbered just like the actor's position. So now you know what the location looks like, where your actors are, and where your camera might be. Now you can plan your way home. But first, let's pay some bills. This video is brought to you by the Indie Filmmaking t-shirt. Sometimes people come to you and say, hey, we want you to make a movie, but we don't have a lot of money. Well, as a low-budget filmmaker, you have to have confidence that you can do it for the amount of money you're provided, whether it's no budget or big budget. But us as filmmakers, even with our own story ideas, people might think that, hey, there's no way you can do that. You can always tell them, hey, no budget? No problem. I'm an indie filmmaker. We stand out from the crowd as indie filmmakers. We do things outside of the box. So why not tell the world how great that is? Because, you are an indie filmmaker, right? So share with the world what you can do and that you are an indie filmmaker. Because really, no budget? No problem. You've got your overhead map pretty much complete. And now it's time to plan our way home, now that we know where we are and we're not really lost anymore. Now, remember, you've placed your cameras in different locations and you've indicated how many setups you can get from that one camera position. The great thing about this is it oftentimes will decrease the overwhelming nature of a shot list. A shot list, you might have 10, 12 different shots listed for a scene, and long scene possibly, maybe even 7 shots, and you might only have 30 to 45 minutes to get all of this shot. And you're looking at your shot list and you're looking at your production schedule and you realize, how am I going to get all of this done if I have to move the camera 7 times? This is ridiculous. Being able to combine things to make them less overwhelming and realize that all I have to do for this second shot is lower the camera and put a new lens on, your anxiety will drop drastically because you realize it's way easier to lower the tripod and put on a new lens than it is to shift all of the lights, remap out the scene to make sure everything looks good and no shadows or glares are happening. It's all very overwhelming at times, but everything that you can do to simplify the process is only going to benefit you in achieving what you need to in your short amount of time. So in your overhead map, make sure you mark by each one of your camera which shots you're going to get from that setup. If you have a close-up and a wide from the same setup, indicate that. And then you'll be able to know if I do 3 takes on the wide, I can punch in for the close-up and get a performance that maybe I'll get in 1 or 2 takes. And you start to decrease the amount of effort that you need, and you'll be able to plow through things. Simplifying is always a way to decrease the stress level and potentially make your production run way more efficiently. Having a map will help you to not get lost in the context of your scene, and you'll just have a better idea of what needs to get done. So I highly recommend making overhead maps at the least. If you can't do storyboards, then you can't do storyboards, but never compromise on even a rough overhead map, so you know where things will be. Combining that with your shot list, you'll be way more efficient and far closer to remaining on schedule, if not ahead. It really all depends on the situation. Hopefully you found this information to be useful, and if there's someone that you think might benefit from this video, then go ahead and share it with them. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.